Here we are. Ducks Don't Get Cold Feet, podcast number 14. And we are here with the Big Shed Beer Consortium, guys, or Concern. They're the Big Shed Brewing Concern. And there'll be a story to that name a bit later on. Jace, Craig, thanks for coming along.
Hey, Pete. How are you?
It's been a long time in the making.
It has.
It's been
burgers and beers to get to this point.
And there has been a few burgers and beers. And speaking about that, I will have one of these RPLs. Now, you have bought a mixture of beers today, naturally. I don't think I've not seen you with a beer in your hand.
No, well, it's just good manners. You come to a person's mate's place, you bring a beer, don't you?
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
And you made a comment about things taste better wet.
Never have a dry discussion.
No.
Or a dry argument.
So it's always going to be wet. So that's a good indication. So I'm going to go with this RPL. It's a Royal Park RPL.
Royal Park Lager.
And when we start talking in all your beers, there's obviously, you've got a bit of a cult following, no doubt, in South Australia.
Your dad follows us. It's brilliant.
Yeah, he does actually. He picked them out in the hallway. He knew exactly who these guys were. And I think it goes back to the early days. We've got a store in Royal Park here in South Australia. And you guys had your brewing factory. What was it?
Brewery.
Yeah, brewery. Just sitting back there, just behind a supermarket there at Royal Park. And just recently, and when I mean recently, just before COVID, you guys opened a beautiful new facility right there on Port Road, just around the corner again. And that's how we got here today, because funny enough, it was during COVID that we started to follow you. I followed you a bit before the Brew Chocks beer, but that's another story. And then what you guys did to pivot when COVID hit in was really good. And it just there might be a bit of luck or a bit of whatnot involved, but it was amazing to see how you guys turned, something very tragic to something that's been really fantastic for you guys, considering you're probably one of the hardest industries here, and there's a lot of hoteliers out there that are in a situation where they can't even sell, they can't even open at the moment.
True. Well, we didn't have toilet paper, so we had to do whatever we could to maintain an income level.
You see that beer because there's another thing that people obviously use is toilet paper, and there's another thing they drink, and it is beer.
Absolutely.
In the best of times and the worst of times, we still drink and we still shit.
Well, and
wow.
Yeah, wow.
Come tell me more, Guru Swami.
I'm like Gandhi with words.
Jesus.
I was more thinking Yoda, but you're a bit taller, but hey, let's not worry about that.
I'm about as old as him too.
Lives in a swamp too.
So he's talking about what So you guys have obviously, you're exactly how you are. If anyone's watched any of our content, you would have seen you guys appeared in the pods in the JP's SA Great. What is it? SA Great with JP Drake segment as our number one. And I'd like to say that Collie's only thing he had to do was make sure the microphones were charged. And he failed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, we shot that 45 times and we went through 3 cartons of beer. It was a terrible day.
And the only thing he had to do was make sure that microphone was working, and it wasn't.
The fact that he's still here is a credit to you and your benevolence and forgiveness, JP. I've got to tell you.
So
HR needs a round of applause.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for the confidence.
So last time we spoke was probably last week. That wasn't going. But when
it's regular meetings.
Yeah, regular meetings. Obviously, I'm a big fan of things in South Australia. I'm a big fan of looking after your own state or province or suburb, even if you can't find everything else. And to me, it's really amazing to see what you guys have done, and it is amazing. And you're the 2 heads of the company. I'm sure there's a whole team. You've obviously got what are the people that make the beer? They're brewers.
Brewers.
But
we've got,
what are that?
Yeah.
Is there a scientific name? That guy looked pretty. He didn't look like a brewer. He looked like a scientist.
Well,
so
we've
John,
got Todd, Bender, Pete, Watsy. They all do a massive job in terms of being. It's highly technical. It's more technical than probably making wine.
Well, how did you guys do it?
So I'm not really sure, to be honest.
No.
I can't lie.
No, our interest in brewing was basically born out of curiosity, and it wasn't about can we do the normal. It's what can't we do.
Yeah.
And that's how we probably started very wide and being crap at what we did, and then we just quietly just kept zoning it in. And that's probably where it really came from. I've been being IT people, we're technical anyway, not smart, not scientific, but obviously technical. So we look at small things and go, okay, what does that small change do? And it's very similar to brewing. There's a lot of old OT guys that are now brewers because of that. Constant.
And because we like to drink anyway. That's more of the point. Yeah. No one rings up the IT department and says everything's good, thanks very much.
Yeah,
but people will ring a brewer or go to a brewery excited to be there. I actually think that's more of it. It's a mind shift change. You know what I mean? You get more appreciation for what you do as a brewer than you do as an IT guy.
So we talk about it in the supermarket as, making it a customer experience. So the reason we can fight against online ordering and whatnot is that people come into the store and there's something different. Like it might be, it's a demo cooking, or we should be making ourselves relevant every day. Mm-hmm. Is it the same feeling you get with your beer?
Absolutely. We talk about it. I don't look at it as selling beer. We sell it. We sell the experience. Beer, no one sits in a room like this by themselves and drinks beer in silence, and they drink it with friends. They drink it to commiserate, to celebrate. That's the bit that's important. And likewise at the brewery, we sell it as part of the experience. You guys have been in there. You've experienced what it's like to come and have some fun, enjoy a burger, a bite to eat. That's actually what we sell, and that's the bit that's important. You can have the best beer in the world, but without that, it doesn't matter. And we don't pretend that we make the world's greatest beer. We make the best beer we can every day. But more importantly, we're straight up and down with people. We're honest. We understand our place in the world. We know we don't solve world diplomatic issues. We make beer.
You make the best beer at Royal Park, though.
We make the world's best Royal Park beer without question. So
you got lots of competition down there. Yeah. So
hey, there's a homeless guy who lives in the storm drain, makes a mean IPA, right? It's cracking, but not quite as good as ours.
Okay, I'll let you go with that. As kids, what were you like? And I'll start with you, Jace. What sort of a kid were you, if you could sum it up?
I don't know. I was mad for cars and like Matchbox cars and Lego and building stuff. So it's probably similar to what's going on now with the brewery, because as soon as there's something to be connected or installed, I'm in it. Like I'm out of my office, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm there wanting to connect it and see how it works. And then once it all works, I'll go back to my office. So madly technical in terms of just wanting to see how things work. I used to pull things apart as a kid just to not reverse engineer it because I couldn't put it back together again because I butchered it. But just, I don't know, just madly interested in how things work.
So did you go to school?
Probably for about a year. Yeah. It worked out okay though.
Okay. Whereabouts did you go?
I grew up, I left Adelaide when I was 4, so my family relocated. So I started school in Sydney and moved back here when I was 22.
Okay. What made you come back to
I'd always felt very much connected to Adelaide. So my grandparents were here, so I'd come back 2-3 times a year as a kid. My parents would put me on a plane. I'd come back here for holidays and I'd stay here. So
wasn't it true that you're also half an hour late to meetings all the time? So if I move to Central Standard Time, I'll be on time?
It probably was easier. I should have gone to Perth.
No, maybe you would have been early.
Maybe. Well,
super early in the summertime.
You started my personal life.
Oh my God. All right. So there you have it. Where did you go? To school in Sydney? Did you go?
I started kindy at Castle Hill. Then my parents bought a house because they were relocated and put up by the business they work for. We relocated to a place called Colleton, which is out west near Penrith. And I did all my schooling out there. So a little primary school around the corner and a high school 2 streets away.
And then came back to Adelaide.
Yeah, as soon as pretty much I was 20, 21 and decided, bugger it, I'm coming back here. So I drove across here with my wife, my fiance at the time, and said, oh, by the way, I want to get married to you, but I'm also moving back to Adelaide. So make a choice. You're either staying in Sydney or I'm going to Adelaide or we're coming to Adelaide. So.
And she was happy with that?
Yeah, I've got a new wife now, but no, I don't. It's the same woman. No, she was happy to come back to Adelaide. She loved it here as well.
Sounds like love.
Yeah.
Then Craig?
Look, I was born and raised in Adelaide. Elizabeth Fields, to be exact. Now it's Davern Park. They changed the name, but it's just still the same area. Elizabeth, staunch working class area. And I'm, in terms of what was I like as a kid, I probably wasn't that much different. I had more hair on my head and less on my chin. But aside from that, I was the same childish SOB that I am right now, for the most part. I still love my rugby, and I coach the under-18 side now, and my little son plays.
Hang on. You're here in South Australia?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you love rugby.
The
Hang
story.
on. Do I make the offending comment league or union?
No, there's only one rugby. That's union.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. If I'm drinking my own urine, I'm a rugby league player. Right? But I'm not.
And checking prostates, of course.
Absolutely. Hopawade. Yeah, no, I'm a rugby union man. Look at me, like good looking, dapper, smart. It's classic rugby union, right?
It is. Yeah, I'll go with you on that.
Yeah. Please do. It's for the best.
So when did this love of beer come about? Like, was it different for both of you? Because I think you guys started in like 2002 in the Barossa.
But I think it was
The brewing
2000.
process would have been 2000. When we sort of first, so we met at Wolf Blass in IT, as Jay said before.
How ironic! You're in a wine business,
I didn't drink beer or wine when I started at Wolf Blass.
and now look at you.
I drank a lot of Bundy when I was in Sydney, and that really set me up for a lot of failures in life.
Wow, so a V8 car racing loving guy who drinks Bundy.
Hey.
Wow.
Leave car racing alone, rugby boy.
I don't want to stereotype someone.
I do.
but,
Totally want to stereotype
It's coming. It's right there.
Let it go.
Okay. It's
Anyway,
coming.
so when I started there, I think the job interview I had was, do you drink wine? No. Do you drink beer? No. What the fuck are you doing here? Why you want to work here for? I went, all right, this isn't a bad place then, clearly. So, but I developed a love of red wine pretty quickly after that because, the bottles that were handed out at staff lunches and things like that were
good. They were good.
Absolutely mint.
So that's a tip out there for anyone looking for a job to hit up Wolf Blass.
No, they're the old party days. They're under the old CEO that used to be in charge of Foster's. It was a lot more. That's why they sponsored the Formula One Grand Prix and this. They were a lot more liberal with their sponsorships
Pouring policies.
Hey.
A lot more liberal with their pouring policies than they are now.
correct.
Oh,
Yes,
pouring. Did you think he said porn?
I did think there was a little bit of porn there.
Pouring policy. I'm sure their porn policy is just fine. I mean, they're the heart of the German district. Who knows what goes on up there?
They are upstanding. I've seen all their movies. I respect them.
So 2002, how did this happen? So you're sitting there fixing someone's problem in IT, and then, oh, shit, let's start brewing beer.
Yeah, I think we're both brewing beer
we're both home
separately.
brewing. Yeah.
And it was like, as you talk to one another, you're like, you like doing this, you like doing it, we should pool our resources and do it together.
Oh, you like rugby? No, I'm not interested.
So regardless of his bogan leanings, I felt like a missionary trying to educate the poor lad. So we went in there.
So you're like Saint Pierre here.
Yeah, exactly. I wander into the heathen jungle and try to help this bloke out. No. So like I said, we pull our resources together. We catch up probably once a fortnight to make beer. We would get together. The girls would hang out and drink wine and eat cheese and chat and whatever it is they got up to. We'd be in the shed making beer. And we really enjoyed it. We enjoyed the process of making the beer. We enjoyed the process of coming up with recipes, trying to work out, what would work, what doesn't work, what do we like. And then once it was done, sharing it with people. And as you do when you have those sort of days, you get a bit brave due to the choice of liquid. You get a bit half cut and go, we should start a brewery. This would be great fun, as everyone does.
This for a full-time gig.
Yeah, and we just wouldn't. The idea of it wouldn't go away. So I was like, well, let's have a crack. Let's work out if we can or can't do it. Because I was quite happy to go to my grave knowing we didn't do it because we couldn't afford it or we couldn't make a plan that worked. But I wanted to understand why. So failure wasn't going to be not doing it. Failure was going to be not understanding why we didn't do it. So yeah, we kept working on it, plugging away, and we worked out a way that would work. We started, and the first beer that came out was not great, but we sold it.
It was a New England IPA back before they were cool.
Yeah. And we were every day. Our goal was to get a little bit better than we were the day before, and then as we got better and we grew, it came down to a point of where Ghost and I can't run a brewery and run a business at the same time because. As you would know, there's a whole gamut of things involved in running a business that don't involve actually making products.
So the first thing we gave up was all the shit we loved.
Yeah.
So what was that? I'm trying to
basically the brewing. So
the reason we started the brewery, is because we love making beer.
And ironically, it's the first thing you have to give up because you need to divert your attention to better things within the business that need to be taken care of by only you. And we've learned early on, hire people smarter than us. Because we're dumb enough to start it, they're smart enough to follow. And stop touching the table. Yes,
no, just a hint.
just a hint. I'll tell you how to do your job. I feel better.
No, so
I blame COVID.
You have to hire smarter people than you because at the end of the day, you're going to start focusing on stuff that isn't necessarily going to make sense to them all the time, and you can't do that while you're ingrained in
in
something
doing.
the brewery. Yeah, exactly right.
And I must admit, Dad has the same comment. Like he's been asked, what do you see as your main asset? And he's basically hired people smarter than me. And Dad left school, he left Gillis Plains High in Year 9, and he's always made point of having to bet. And let's face it, every business revolves around people.
Yeah,
in some form.
Absolutely. And we knew, like, it was a fair question. Like for all these technical expertise and stuff, how did you do it? It's a fair question because, it was easier to employ those skills than for us to learn them. So let's bring them in. The beer automatically goes up, and then we can focus on the building of the brand, the building of the business.
Yeah, for me, one of the big keys that I've talked about is that I want to be the dumbest person in the room. Because if I'm not, I've got the wrong people around me.
Correct. It is very much that.
Not today.
COVID.
Looking at you. Yeah. I didn't get COVID. That was you, brutal. I put it there. You whacked it.
For those that aren't watching,
down
COVID's our genius editor behind the scenes.
Where's the batteries?
And he's just been reminded about his fail on the microphone. But that's cool. We won't talk about this.
It's okay.
And bear in mind, he tries to edit, so let's let it. So, just quick break. I've got a beer. I'm going to taste it. I drink beer. I don't think I'm a beer technician.
No one has to. You don't have to be a beer technician to enjoy beer.
But I'm about to have a HPA 016 Indie single hop.
Indie IPA, that's right.
All right, and
So this
it so to me it smells extremely sweet, but I can taste hops.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is it honey or?
So that's coming from the malt. So the malt characteristics, there's certain malts in there that are really delivering certain characteristics like that. The sweet, the hops are carrying the bitterness, the yeast is giving you a little bit of bread.
I can taste like on the back of the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Hops or bitterness? Bitterness you should sort of get back
Yeah,
here.
a little bit of bitter, not too much.
Sweets at the I think sweets at the front, is it?
And you get a lot of, like, from this hop, you get a lot of melon. Well, I get a lot of melon character. I mean, the first thing to remember is when you're drinking beer, everything, if you tell me what you taste, you're 100% right. Because it's your tongue.
Because it's my tongue.
Yeah,
and you haven't tasted my tongue.
No, thankfully.
Not yet.
Hey, your card's right, though. How you doing?
Fuck. I better watch out. But
half an hour in, takes
but
half an hour in.
moral of the story,
Much.
to me, I can taste the bitter now that you mention it. Because it's that side taste.
The other thing is, like, when we were working the bar, like way back when, we used to pour all the beer, we used to make the beer, we used to keg, we used to do everything. So we used to be at the bar and we go, right, okay, I don't want to tell you what you taste because as soon as I tell you, you taste mandarin, you taste this.
Yeah. No, when you said melon then.
Yeah.
You'll find it.
Right?
You'll find it.
I'm like, yeah. Like
Our brains are picked up. If you're reading a book and it goes, blah, 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 melon, straight away you go, oh, melon, I can taste melon. So you got to be careful that when you suggest a flavour to somebody when you're doing a tasting fruit, and it could be Twiggy sticks. It could be anything.
Well, when you have your mates, do you say, do you taste cock? And does it trick them? Like,
depends how flexible they are. I don't know
does
whether
it trick them into it?
Well, maybe.
No, now you mention it.
Maybe.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
So I understand
That has to stay in there.
when you say
Turn off the mic. This whole thing's out.
But when you say it definitely does it. And when you're with wine people that they're fanatic of, the cherries, the oak, and it's like, sometimes you get it, but not all the time.
They suggest Chesterfield because I was who's got a Chesterfield? So it smells like cigar box. Who's tasted a cigar box? Why are we licking it for? Anyway, so it's the descriptors that are used because we were surrounded by winemakers. Now, don't get me wrong, I love wine, I love winemakers, but
you guys have been around that.
Certain winemakers used to go, fucking the descriptors you're using are stupid because the common person isn't going to get it. And I think that's the romantic part of our beer is that you can pick it up and go, I can taste bread, hops, a little bit of cut grass, bananas. Cool, great. They're common things. We never use a fancy descriptor to describe a beer. It's just
we don't.
We don't know.
I bet you your punters do, but we'll see.
To them if they do.
So I get that. So your first beer rolled off. Did it roll off the commercial setup in 2013 and December?
2014. So we brewed it on the 27th of December. We were gonna have a break at the end of the commissioning process and go, no, we'll come back in the new year.
And was it Frankenbrown?
It was Frankenbrown, yes. So we couldn't.
So that Frankenbrown.
Yes.
Like, does anyone say anything about that label?
No.
No.
Because it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
I was wondering where you're going with that. No, it is. No, you're right. It is.
It's a cool label.
It's a Weird Al Yankovic type process about going about. So it's a parody. So you're not trying to be controversial. You're just creating a parody of something. So originally it was going to be Frankenstein, I think, and we're going to have a picture of Frankenstein's head
Stein,
with a stein on it. I'm like, nah, it's just too obvious. It's too. You look at it and you go, oh, Frankenstein, cool, whatever. And we went, no, Frank and Brown, okay, describes the beer, plus we can piss take his face in a parody, and
100%. So it's a cross between
Frankenstein and James Brown.
And his face is melting off.
And it's pretty cool. Do you reckon you get away with that label now?
Still do.
Yeah, look, I mean,
Do you think people would take it a bit too far? Like, oh, hang on, that's...
Yeah.
there's potential for that. I mean, but I guess...
It's all in the eye because to me it's a cool label because when I talk about labels and how risque they are, this label here.
What are you looking at me for?
This label here, the golden stout
That's an
type.
accurate fig leaf.
Now, anyone that needs to see this label here has got this man on it who's lifting big barbells above his head, looking magnificent,
Resplendent.
kind of like Fred Flintstone, but cut.
Repugnant.
Hey,
Kind of like
your words, not mine.
kind of like Fred Flintstone, but cut, right? And do people say something about the pouting that's going on in that can?
No. This is a little therapy session for you,
There's
isn't it?
actually a photo of me making that face.
Yeah, there is.
There is.
Yeah, absolutely. So the story behind the Golden Stout Time photo, label rather, we were driving to the first beer and barbecue, as it turned out, and I'm driving.
What year was that?
Hey, I don't know.
2014?
2000, yeah, something like that. But anyway, I'm driving. Jace is in the passenger seat getting messages from our then design guys, Big Red Dog. Send me a photo posing like this. So he's taking a selfie.
Craig's like, what are you
Was selfies
another
around
one,
then?
And another one. Yeah, apparently. And it took about 4 or 5. So what the hell are you up to? Bloody Rog is asking for this. And then by the time that would have been out the front of the High Marsh Library, I reckon. By the time we got to Wavell, we had a mock-up of that design. So
I was trying to find it.
they were looking. I don't know. I can't remember their exact
Because it looks
angle.
It looks cool.
It is.
I think it was actually outside Black Knight Erotica.
Nah,
It was in between that furniture place on the corner and about there I was making a whole bunch of stupid poses.
Yeah, all right. I'll give it. Anyway, I was on Port Road, right?
Location, we'll find it when we find the photo.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah,
on, my, on my iPhone.
But it's a classic case of.
Was it on Hanson Road or Port Road?
No, Port Road, definitely Port Road. But we take making the beer seriously, but we don't take, as you can probably tell already from this little podcast, we don't take too much else too seriously. For us, like I said, beer isn't about serious issues. It's about having some fun and enjoying yourself. And if you see that label in a row of beers in a bottle shop, I need you to pick it up. Even if you haven't heard of Big Shed, at least pick it up. So if you see Jace's ugly mug on there, you'll at least pick it up and try to see what's going on. And that's the name of the game. Enjoy yourself. And if it puts a smile on your face, that's even better because you're already then in the correct mindset to enjoy the product.
That's exactly how I feel with your labels.
Yeah.
I thought you said that's how you feel with my face. I'm like, wow. I need to pick him up and understand what that's all about. Fat chance, pick him up. Let's go.
Okay.
JP's ripped, mate.
So yeah, I could do that. Look, I'm busting out of my top because I've been eating all week. But with the label side, I think it shows a lot about a beer. And you see some of the basic labels, like Foster's. And Pirate Life have added some cool stuff that they used to have where they showed the people
the
involved.
process.
Yeah. So I think there's some parts that it catch my attention, but you guys have such I believe you got a unique look, which is very characteristic of you too. And it flows through your business. How important is it for you guys when you're coming up with a label? And would you like to talk me through the last label you came up with and how?
Yeah, I mean, we always want to be having some fun with it because our to me the beer business is about having fun, about enjoying yourself. So that's the extent of it. If it doesn't look like it's kind of having a good time, then there's a problem. Probably the last two labels we did were the two barley wine, or the barley wine and the imperial stout that we created, which is released today, which is the Viscosiraptor and the Erebus.
So this is hot off the press.
Yeah,
It's probably the reason I'm sweating at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to talk about that for your special shed heads. which is a fan base that you guys have that
Yep.
get exclusivity to your brew.
Yep, they get first access. So in terms of the shed heads,
Let's just do it now.
there's an annual fee. There was an annual fee that was never meant to be like an entertainment book type situation where you get a discount and whatever. It was about you get access inside the curtain. You get to become one of us and hear about things first and get first access. So everyone else got access to them, but you get first crack.
So that's fantastic.
It's good fun, and they become family, and they become our advocates out in the field. You know, we've got 2 sales guys, but we've got 200 sales guys really, because they all promote Big Shed in their own way, and that's why we value them so
So
dearly.
yeah, there's 200 people in that group.
Yeah.
It was 100. It was 104 in the first year because Craig couldn't count.
No, I couldn't count. I just fucked it up.
We were supposed to have it to 100.
We were supposed to have 100.
Oh, it's 104.
And I
Shit.
recalculated.
All right,
It was 104. Fuck. Oh, it's 104 now.
That's fine.
But that's classic Big Shed, right?
They
So
basically
it's-
got their money.
it's-
The first year's members would have got more than their money back in the first year in everything we gave to them. So there was discounts on product. There was first access to things. They got customized merchandise, discounts on every beer they came in, free burger on their birthday.
No, they didn't do that. We didn't do that originally.
Oh, no, we didn't do it
in the
first year,
COVID
sorry.
times. We had to change it because people couldn't come in. We couldn't have events for them, so we did change it a little bit. So we did allow some
I love it.
discounts and stuff like that. But anyway, back to the labels. The Viscosiraptor. So
Well, we're talking about it. You almost need to drink it, don't you?
Jesus.
says the guy.
Oh, is it?
Come on. How about you drink it? There you go.
Yeah, how about exactly? Yeah,
Fuck, I've just drunk this one.
Oh, that's a cool story. Add unicorns. Viscosiraptor.
Viscosa Raptor.
Viscosiraptor.
It's called.
So-
it says barley wine.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
barley one. Yeah, so it's a 10.5%. I think it
10.4,
is.
I think.
10.5.
Is this beer or
So
wine?
once it gets
Yeah.
over 10%, you can actually call it a barley wine
Barley
as
wine
opposed
is
to a beer.
Yeah, barley wine is a style, but it is a beer. It's basically
Easy there,
beer
Tony.
on steroids.
Ooh.
Exactly.
And again, it's,
Oh,
it's,
shit. What colour is this? I can't tell. It's in a can.
It's a dark ruby color.
Yeah.
And in terms of that label, so that goes on our
Whoa.
limited design
Yeah.
label, so it's trickier because we've got less space.
Booze.
So we
and
play
warmth.
more with the font. But I think if you look at Viscosiraptor, if you show the camera, you can see the font that we're using there, the old Jurassic Park style, and it people have an image in
What do
their
you
head of this.
Hang on. So
It's got a lot going on.
You
it's
can see through time.
it's dark. It's very dark. It's like it tastes a bit maybe licorice, is it? Or it's something
You
that's
tell me, man. It's your tongue.
Or let me lick it and I'll tell you.
tastes bitter,
Yeah.
dark. It's real dark. Like it tastes like something from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
See, it's not as dark as you think. Like if you pour that into a glass, you'll see it's actually this nice
Tastes
red
like licorice. There's a bit of something green in there. It's
hops.
Be some fresh hop. Okay. It's got a lot of everything.
okay.
It's a barley wine is basically the malt turned up to extreme levels. So you're going to have a lot of specialty grains in there, and they're going to be punching a lot of different characteristics through. So
Stewed
you might
fruits and stuff.
pick up, like I said, you might pick up licorice from a certain grain that's in there.
How do I pick? Because I fully taste the licorice.
But I think if you put it into a glass, you'll see it again for what it can be. So we'll.
why am I saying green? What the fuck does green taste like? Just for the record.
But it's a good beer. It is really, really tasty.
It's strong.
It's
Yeah.
bloody strong.
It'll make your ball run.
The next
for
one's
sure.
stronger.
Well, what's
double the beer.
what's this one?
Six, 6.3, I think.
That's 6.
So
that's
Indie
10.
IPA 6.3
Like,
or
what's
6.
a normal? I drink if I don't have you guys around. Like I go to a Corona. I think that's a average laced, easy beer to drink.
it's a situation.
and I usually like a light beer because I don't know. Maybe I'm a lightweight. I'm not sure, but that's what I go to because that's pretty consistent. What do you think of beers like that just sell out?
They're made. The studio's falling apart. No, they're made.
Something fell off the wall, did it?
Some of your egg cartons fell off.
Oh,
No,
shit.
they're made for the environment in which they were. So Corona's made for stinking hot, dry heat. Of course, you got to belt it. Now, the clear bottle probably isn't necessarily a wise idea to make beer in because it actually allows light in and turns the beer skunky. So they actually put enzymes in there to stop it from doing that. But in the long time ago, you used to put a lime in there to stop it from going weird.
I
That's
heard
why.
the lime was to keep the flies out.
Why would the floods be in there?
Like in New Mexico, apparently they're everywhere.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know. My understanding was it was always to try and hide the cardboardy flavour. So if you ever had a Corona that's old, it tastes ordinary. So it goes along.
No shit. Well, okay. So let's go back to labels.
Yep.
So the Viscosiraptor.
Viscosiraptor.
Yep. So you guys have
because
obviously
it's a limited run beer.
what's the on the label? It's a brewers series. What's
so
that?
that's where we give them. They say, right, we're going to get you to make this beer. There's no rules. Do what you want. So we give them a framework and we go, it's up to you now. So
these are the winemakers. These are the brewers.
Yeah, correct. So whatever happens,
your brewers, not your fans.
No, correct. Whatever happens, Cole Shizzle, anytime Big Shed's mentioned, Craig and I get the kudos. It's just by default. All right. Yeah. So they're like yourself and Roger being on TV, you're going to get the kudos.
Yeah.
But there's a team of people behind you, and what we can do by allowing them to have such things as this, where it's a brewer's series, you go, right, well, I need you to make a beer. It needs to have this component. Otherwise, the rules are up to you. And you get your name on there. So what has happened, like with the hazing and things like that, it's called Watsy's the Hazing. Watsy's one of our brewers. So he is an employee of a business that then has his name on a bottle, on a can that goes around the country.
Okay, so it's kind of like Beerenberg have recently redone all their labelling, and
they've Jones Jam, and
they've got a piece about one of the people in the business plus a product that they obviously adore. With your labels, did you learn anything being at Wolflass about? I'm seeing shakes there. So
Wolflass is a very different brand to what we are, and so
I guess what they're the Coles and Woolworths of supermarkets.
I guess what we learn is that it's important to be true to yourself. You know, like I think if a beer business is trying to be funky and cool and hip when they're not it's gonna eventually you're gonna get caught. And likewise, if you act all corporate and whatever, and you're not that, again, you get caught out. So from the outset, Jason and I have decided we'll focus on being the most honest brewery on the planet. So for better or worse, this is what we do. This is how we roll.
And we're not good at lying. So therefore, trying to pretend to be something you're not, you're going to catch yourself out. So
have you guys been listening to our material?
No.
Why is that?
Because we talk
can't lie to you, no.
No, we talk about being transparent and authentic. Honest in everything that we do, right? Mm-hmm. And there is a reason for it. It's because if we're not lying about what we're doing, our consumer, therefore we can tell the consumer whatever's going through our minds at this point in time.
Yeah.
And it's the same, what I believe is what you're saying is that, hey, this is our beer, this is our labels. Yeah. We stand behind it. I mean, you're obviously not going to release something to shit. No. Or in someone could taste it and go, I don't like that.
And that's fine. Like we actually openly, so Craig actually interacts with a lot more customers online than I do in terms of rating. There's a rating beer system called Untapped. So Craig actually interacts with them a lot, and they might say, they might take a really, really, really pathetic barb approach to shit beer. So Craig will respond to shit review.
Yeah.
So we call them out for not using so we're actually we're cutting through their crap with the same level of crap, and they go, oh yeah, maybe I should have said something more about why I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Now that's cool. That we don't expect everybody to be a bloody beer judge, but
I do expect for everyone to understand the difference between bad beer and beer I don't like.
Correct.
That's a very distinct conversation.
It's not hard to say why you don't like
something.
And
if you don't like it, I have no judgment. Like, it's all good. Like, you can try all of our beers and say they're not for me. 100%, I'm all good. But if you go, this beer is bad, and I disagree with you, I'm going to tell you that too.
So with regards to the labels...
Oh, we're back. Yes.
And nothing to do with wine. It's all right. Yes. That was my question. You've well and truly answered it, so don't worry. But you have do you two, or is it the other people in the team, sit there and go, look, labels need to stand out. They're all quite different and they're all quite unique when you look at them, and we'll be able to show you if you can watch this. Obviously, if you're listening, you can't see it. Just go to YouTube and watch it. But they're all unique.
Yep.
Like very unique. And they're kind of got a bit of difference together. I'm assuming you're using the same designer?
Yeah, same designer. So we've got a guy in-house, Lung Sash, who does our design work. And I think even with our core range beers, we try to keep a similar template, but then unique within that. So, I mean, with the exception of the lager.
Royal Park Lager had to be that because it just had to look like it's from the 70s.
Well, it looks like that.
So leave it. That's what lager is. The lager is to Australians boring and from the 70s. Cool, let it be.
Foster's Lager.
But if you look at those two,
you
can see they're very unique. So we've got the Cold Shizzle and the Golden Stout Time. You can see they're very different, but at the same time, there's a pattern. So with the big shed across the front, background is on the background silver with the white, design of the beer or the type of beer there, and then the artwork in the middle. Our Brewers series likewise will have the generic can, which is the same artwork all the way along, and then a different label in thin styling around it.
So that thin styling, so that is the label. So it's not you just got a quick one in because it was on the
so
brewing.
basically,
No.
in order to get printed cans, you need to order 50,000 of any one type. So if we've got 10 wide, we're going to order 500,000 cans to start brewing.
Okay,
So
there you go.
do a
And for a small
generically
brewery,
printed
that's a
can, you can slap a little bow tie on it, essentially, for lack of a better term. And then the customer's always got something new to look at because the label doesn't go in the same spot every time. So they're like, oh, I didn't realise that before. Oh, that's Donut Lad from 3 years ago. That's the lighthouse near Port Adelaide. Oh, look, there's the Screaming Eagle off Cold Chisel. So there's something to look at regardless of what's on the label.
Is that what a screaming eagle is?
That's
No,
what we.
no, that's not what it is,
Well,
yes.
you tell us what it is.
I don't know. I don't know. Fucking.
Mighty Eagle. No, not that one.
Hey,
Last
Collie, you
name.
want to put what a screaming eagle is on that, just so people can see it? So
Static, not the video, please.
So when you see it, so with the what do you call it? Thin.
Viscosiraptor.
No,
The label?
Yeah.
I call it a bow tie, but it's not.
What do
Yeah,
you call it?
I just call it the thin label.
Thin
That's
label.
a thin label design.
Because it's clearly different than.
Correct.
Is there like are you a vein at all, Jace? Because this one here is clearly showing off your body. Like it's
No.
it's
What are you
the
saying? I'm hugged like a twig? It's all me.
He's
It's
looking
all
for
me.
legal advice. What can I say?
It's all me and one size fits all, all right? That's all I've got to say.
But the label wise, I'm assuming you didn't draw them at all at the start.
Early on, no. We had outside help, and then we hired Sash, who's he was a bartender with us, came on board pouring beers, and then I like doing design. Well, cool, you can do a little bit other on
He's
the
actually
side.
qualified in graphic design. Like
Correct.
it's not like I just like to draw the odd picture.
No, you know
So
what I mean.
don't undersell it, the poor kid.
No.
Well, I reckon they look fantastic.
Yeah, they do.
And I think your stuff stands out. If people wanted to buy your product,
Mm-hmm.
obviously they go to Big Shed.
Go to Big Shed or go online at bigshed.beer. You can buy online there.
Yeah, but what about for instance, we got a few bottle shops. Why can't we sell this product?
We can certainly have a chat about that. If we're not already in there, why not?
Yeah. So are you in many? Do you go to independent outlets
Yep.
or?
We have a couple of beers that are actually arranged by Dan Murphy's and BWS and Liquorland.
So label in house.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Labels
So
in-house.
that person, obviously the label is an important part. I think it makes it stand out on shelf. Is there something there that person is creating? What are they doing anything else? What was it? Different label? Hey, I'm thinking of this beer.
Well, they do all the digital.
What do you go through like a debrief? Oh, we've created this beer.
Mm-hmm.
Try it. All right, come up with the label.
Sometimes labels happen before beer. Sometimes beer happens before label. More often than not, we're always chasing our tail on a deadline because we tend to say yes to things and then go, shit, how are we going to deliver that? So Sash sadly gets lumped with a lot of that, and we'll apologise publicly on record that Sash does get flogged occasionally for things that are our doing, not his.
Like a rented mule.
Because we're not creative. We don't understand the creative process, and sometimes we go, just do that, and then he comes back and he goes, yeah, I've stared at the screen for 3 hours and nothing happened. And we're like, all right, I get it, but you're like, why can't we have it? But because we're not creative, we don't understand the blocks and the getting it right. Like he says to me, that's not right for our brand. And occasionally I go, I don't get it. And then I see what he's done. I go, all right, I get that now.
I get it.
So we have to trust that he is going to do the right thing by our brand. And occasionally we don't give him a lot of brief and we let him go.
More often than not, it'll be a name. It'll be like, here's the beer style, here's the name.
Yeah.
Then go
Go
from
with
there.
it. Go for it.
And we like
Like
I said,
Viscosiraptor, Erebus. Like, what's Erebus? Is the Greek god of darkness and blah, blah, blah. So he comes up with a different label. Viscosiraptor. It is that prehistoric.
Hang on, you just added something else to it. That doesn't.
No, the next beer.
No, the next beer is Erebus.
Stout is Erebus.
there's two over 10%ers here.
Jesus.
You're backed up, mate.
There is something about 10% beer. It's not normal.
No, but neither are we.
Okay.
Why be normal?
Okay, no, that's
the
fair.
point
So we talk about the shed heads.
Yes.
And they pay a membership. How much is that?
Well, for first year members, so they get it for $75.
Yep.
We hold the cost.
Is that a month?
No, annually. And then new members, $100.
So anybody that joined in the
That's
first
a
year,
bargain.
we said that we would honour their price for life. But you drop out, you go back to the next year's price.
That's fair enough. But you mentioned last night you had an event where they had these 2 beers.
No, that was
So it was a public event.
yeah.
They had first access to tickets.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about. Like they become one of the family in that, so they get first access. They don't necessarily get discount access.
Yeah, no, and to me, that's about the customer experience. You're grabbing your best people, your best supporters, your fans, your evangelists, and Apple calls them evangelists,
Yep.
right? They're people that love Apple product no matter what.
Yep.
And they play on that. And as you can see, when people are lining up for a new Apple phone, they know exactly what it does and they continue to line up for days.
Bender. There you go. He springs to mind. Our head brewer will go and line up for Apple devices.
Yeah. See, so you've created that with your shed heads, cool name, and they pay their membership fee, which gets them like a chance to have this beer before anyone else.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's with all your brews? Surely not.
Core
Surely.
range, it doesn't happen.
But new stuff.
As new
New
stuff
releases,
comes
yeah.
out, they get first.
That's awesome.
They hear about it first, and then they get first crack at it.
And to me, that's the customer experience.
Correct. So before the dinner happened last night, we'd already sold 21 4-packs. So it was mixed. So we did the beer dinner last night with Little Bang. So Little Bang has a barley wine and an imperial stout, and we put our 2 up against it. We put a mixed 4-pack together, and we sold 21 4-packs before the dinner had even happened.
Yeah. And
So no one's tasted the beer. They've just gone, I want that.
because the Little Bang Brewing, Little Bang Brewery,
Yep.
Little Bang, yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
I went and I was a judge at a barbecuing competition at their
Oh, yeah.
old facility.
Yep.
And I did that with a couple of, is it Grant?
Grant Neal,
Grant Neal.
Yeah.
the hair.
Is that his
Hollywood.
nickname?
That's what we call
You
Hollywood.
call him Hollywood?
Hollywood.
Well,
No, what is it? No, what's
he's
his name?
another.
David. Who's that actor?
Who's that prick from
Hasselhoff.
No,
He's
the-
not
Jesus,
Hasselhoff.
no, the prick from Sea Change. What's
Yeah,
his
that's
name?
that one.
Duchovny?
No.
No. It's going to come to us.
He's got a honker.
Anyway.
I'm going to Google that shit.
No, come on, V. You should be fucking Googling this. That dude from Sea Change.
No. What's his name?
But Grant has like he's a cool dude. He was talking about the meat.
just ask him. He'll tell you.
Oh, you said it. I thought it.
I reckon he listens to this too, so he's going to love you guys.
Look, we sponsored them for a year. Look, there's no bad blood between us. We're
So
all good.
Grant's he was when we were doing this meat judging because he was more
David
experienced.
Wenham.
at this.
Damn it. David Wenham. There you
There we
go.
go.
Sorry.
You guys are brainwashed. And he talked about the way that when you tasted something, he goes, "You taste that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "That's rancid smoking, like just shithouse because of the way that they'd smoked it too long, too thick." And as someone that I love eating meat, don't get me wrong, and it was just interesting to hear his point of view and it was like, oh, okay, it was a really good education piece. And we've done a couple of cooking segments with Grant as
Yep.
well.
But you apply science to anything you do, and you can actually delve beyond what you see and what you can smell and what you can touch. There's science behind everything.
Well,
So-
oven smoke, it's Grant. They made the steak cooking. Well, they won Australia and they finished 22nd in the world.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And I go, "What was your secret?" And he pulled out a thermo pen with the temperature, and you stick it into your meat. And he said he was the only dude using it, but he got perfect
really?
meat. And that was his. He's a barbecuer,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
competing against all these restaurant guys. Yeah, I like Grant. He's
There's a mad innate skill.
the smoking joint.
There's a mad innate skill in everything they
smoking
do. And they camped out at the brewery one weekend. They literally
right,
stayed
they did
outside
too,
and
didn't
cooked meat all weekend for an event we did together. So, like I said, when we poke crap, that's just what we do. But we've done stuff together. We sponsored them for a year. And the meat was brilliant that weekend. Everybody loved it.
Boutique brewing? No?
Yeah.
What do you guys like? It's not boutique brewing. What do you guys?
I'm definitely not boutique. I don't like that.
Well, you definitely got no.
Oh, look, I mean, we just like
and
we-
not Botox.
I'm
either.
very-
I mean, back when we started, it was called craft brewing. Now, so people have edged away from craft brewing because big breweries have spun up brands trying to make hay off.
Pirate Life.
No, not pirate.
No. That was
they-
set up by independents.
Yeah,
and
and they got sold.
obviously
We're talking
so,
things like not malt.
steam. Was it steam
Malt
shovel?
and shovel.
Three
Dairy
barrels,
Refuge.
lorry boys, that sort of crap. Like where it's
So basically, it'd be like Drake's basically making their own lager, for instance, and then trying to flog it to everybody not under a Drake's brand,
Yeah, it's
under something completely random, going, "Hey, we're hip, we're cool."
yeah.
It's kind of like Audi.
Yeah,
Like all of those brands are Audi, trying to make it sound cool.
Yeah. So we went
Well, it's
So-
all about absolutely minuscule margins and just sell massive volume.
Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah.
Correct. What is the operating margin? Have you ever heard that figure?
For us or
No, for
them?
them.
I got no idea.
I've heard rumours
Where-
of 0.2%. Like I'm talking like absolutely nothing, but just flogging the volume out of it.
You know what? That wouldn't surprise me because, we're very, very low single figure for us as a supermarket business. Yeah, we want volume, but we're clearly not on a world stage volume.
No.
But when you look at people and the brewers and, boutique, what do we call it? So craft beer.
Yeah,
Craft beer,
independent
indie beer,
brewers.
That's
Yeah.
why that beer
I was going to
exists.
say, like, when we started, the game was called craft beer. Then big breweries sort of hijacked it, so now it's become independent beer.
And we talk about the beer and barbecue show.
Yep.
And Drake's have sponsored stuff like that because we want our meat. Obviously, we don't brew any beer. We're not secretly sneaking beer through. But for us, it's about getting our product out there because we had a podcast with Darren Thomas. We talk about how good our grass-fed Angus pure beef is. We're very proud of it. Is that the feeling you get with your beer?
Absolutely, we're super proud of it. Every beer we release, we've got a pride for. We don't release anything that Jason and I don't like to drink or don't love.
So everything at the moment is QA'd. So we go through. So once we move to the new brewery, we went, right, okay, we've got more volume. There's more commitment now to quality. So we went, right, okay, what are we going to do here? Right, okay, we're going to QA every beer that gets released. Now, it started off because we used to occasionally get little leaks in the cans and that's all fixed. So we used to QA it to make sure there's no QA problems. Now we're like, right, okay, does it taste right? Does it smell right? Does it look right? So I'll crack a can, Craig will crack a can. We'll go,
The struggle is real.
yeah. So this is 9 o'clock
Yeah.
on
night.
a weekday.
This is what we do for you people.
Morning. So we'll actually go and grab different people from around the business. Right. Okay. Admin manager, person, someone at the front bar. Come and try this beer. What do you think? And it's not just us that QA.
Should we try it here?
Because at the end of the day, you're relying upon that staff member to sell that product. So if they don't know what it tastes like, smells like, or looks like, how do they know when a customer complains? So we QA every single thing to make sure that it's within spec. If we're happy with it, then it sees a light of day. If it doesn't get released.
So we are proud of every beer we make, but we also accept without judgment that not everyone will like every beer we make, and that's completely okay.
And that's fine. That's why we make our core range is like 9 wide.
It's why
Pick something you like.
It's why it's fun to drink beer because people do make different things for different people, and they have their own flavors and their own tastes, and that's where I get uptight about bad beer versus beer I don't like. That's when I get irritated when people go, "This beer is bad." I'm like, "No, you don't like it. That's different, and that's okay." But understand the difference.
Totally fair enough assumption. Okay, so the question on everyone's lips: should you have beer in a bottle, a can, or a keg?
Depends where you are.
If you've got a choice, I'd always pour the beer, no matter if it comes from a bottle or a can or a keg, into a glass. Because you've got the maximum opportunity then for the aromatics and stuff to come through. There's agitation when you pour it, without getting too scientific and wanky about it all. But there's nothing wrong with drinking beer out of a can with its wider brim, so you still get that aromatics. Bottles less so, but you do what you do. We don't certainly say we're not those guys who go, no, you must do this, because that's not what beer is about. Beer is you do what you do. As long as you're enjoying our product, that's really all we care about. So however you choose to drink it, it's fine by me. I mean, there's discussions around can versus bottle. Like the craft beer industry, independent beer industry has moved dramatically and quickly, really, from bottle being the premium product to everything going into can. If you were starting a brewery today, you wouldn't even look at a bottling line, I don't think.
That happened the same year we bought a bottling line.
Yeah, it's true.
Fuck.
It is true.
So you guys are great with your timing. You opened one of the biggest sheds ever, and then COVID hits.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
COVID, fuck off.
Nah, don't blame Terry. He's all right.
COVID,
Took me a minute to process.
He's not
He's
bright.
talking to me.
Like he said, not good.
he's had.
And there are discussions. You can get deep into the detail around what is better for DO pickup and stuff like that.
Hang on, DO pickup.
Dissolved oxygen. So dissolved oxygen is what will turn a good beer average. It won't make it bad to drink. It's not like milk that goes off and makes it undrinkable. But beer, especially hoppy beer, will go stale. So Jace was talking about Corona with that cardboardy sort of vibe. That's oxidation. And with a clear glass, it'll 100% happen a lot faster than in an amber glass or in a can. The can, no light gets through, and no UV light gets through in an amber glass.
And importantly, no metal touches the beer.
Yeah, there is. That's
People
right.
say, I can taste metal. You put that in a vat of a certain chemical, the metal aluminium will break away, and there'd be a plastic. There's a plastic.
Yeah, there is actually a plastic liner between the metal and the product, the beer. So you don't get that metallic. Although that was always the case, I can't profess to know, but the modern can does have a thin plastic lining.
Probably back in the 70s when you couldn't crush those cans because they were literally like tomato tins.
You could
Solid.
You could damage them
exactly.
with it. But what I do know is that with a rubber seal on a crown, you do get some transfer of oxygen between the outside world and the beer. Whereas
See the colour. It's
it's
not dark at all.
I always going back
Mahogany.
to the
Mahogany with a tan head, fine lacing. Tastes like a Chesterfield. Liquid.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It's different.
Sorry, yes.
I'm trying to keep this highbrow, you fucking Bundy drinking heathen.
I'll tell you one fucking story.
What's his
One
name?
story.
Ragnar?
Muzzer. Now, so yeah, with a bottle and a bottle top, there's a rubber seal.
Yep, seen it.
And within that seal, like some oxygen will move back and forward. Not a lot, but it will move. Whereas a can is a hermetic seal. It's steel on steel, so nothing gets through.
And we set the tolerances on the canning line to reject anything that's underfilled. So therefore, if it's an underfill, there's too much there could be potential for oxygen under the cap.
Yeah.
So we always make sure that it's got a nominal fill. Cans are weighed twice. We do everything we can to reject those that shouldn't be sold.
Absolutely, but like anything,
So
I mean,
is there beer
canning,
that...
I was going to say a good bottling line would still create a better product than a shitty canning line. I think.
Okay, so...
It's, the quality, it's not just
so
it's not just the seal; it's the quality of the product that you use to build it.
So you just said a good bottling line with a great product will produce a better product?
I think so. Like outside of the rubber crown, like there is a bunch of
Oxygen scavenging crown.
Yeah, but they can still pick up oxygen along the way. So I would expect, and again, I haven't done the study, so I'm not going to profess to be expert in it, but I would imagine that if you had a top end bottling line, that it would be superior to a subpar canning line, because the can and the seal they're not all created equal, like anything, you know. But like for like, in terms of a quality can versus a quality bottling line, I would expect the quality canning line to prove to be a superior unit for storing and preserving.
You're talking about entry level canning lines of 200,000. High-end bottling lines could be 15 to 20 million.
Yeah,
high-end canning lines could be 15 to 20 million.
So
it's just crazy.
how much do you, like the RPL, like for instance, I don't know if you can say this, but how many of those do you make in the one
we normally do about 4,000 litres a month. So it's not massive. What's that? 4,000 litres is 10,000 cans.
See, that's a lot of just of one.
Oh, if you had to drink it yourself, it's a lot.
But you got to remember, we've got customers. We've got 750 clients Australia wide. Not everybody's buying RPL. Some places are buying 4 cartons at a time. Some are buying one.
No.
It gets consumed. It's basically, we always allow our customers to pick and choose what they stock. However, we don't allow them to cherry pick what they stock. So you can't just come in and go, I'll have Erebus, I'll have Indy, I'll have GST, and I don't want the rest of it. No. You've got to help us help you. If you give us 4 or 5 ranging spots, well, then we'll let you get the cool stuff as well. So it's about sort of buying a ticket to the limited releases, not just
if
not
you
just
support,
the
because the issue, not the issue, but the risk you run as a brewery is making the cool stuff that gets sold, but your core range will sit and go unattended. So for us, the guys who support us with the core range, they get first cut at the specialty. And that's always been the way.
So we've got a new system coming up now where we've got the Brewers series, we've got this. So we're actually making a hotel series and it debuts tomorrow at the Franklin. So
What's a hotel series?
So the hotel series is when
hang on, is this breaking?
This is breaking news.
Is this the world first?
This just in. So basically we actually allow a hotel to come to us and say, I want to make a beer with you, I want to do this one. And they pick the beer, they pick the style, the guidelines they want to go after.
They come in and brew.
They come in and brew it. So they don't just allow them to say, I want it and send it to you. No, you've got to come down and do it. So we allow them to come in, they make the beer, and then we're going to create, so much as this is a brewer series, there's going to be an owner's series coming up. So Craig and I are going to go back to our old ways and make a batshit crazy beer.
Ooh. Didn't know about that.
own a series. So the hotel series is where we invite a pub to come in. Now, anybody that wants to stock the hotel series that's not that hotel gets a chance to come and do the next one. So
So it goes into a draw.
So for instance, I could, now bad analogy, but I could be selling to Drake's, Coles, Aldi, Woolworths. If every one of the stores buys it, well then they each go in a draw to come back and do the next one with us. So your name gets put on the can. It's not about us, it's about the hotels that help us pour our beer.
That's awesome.
So it's just about,
I like that.
it's just different.
Well, once again, it's about supporting people that support you.
Yeah, that's right.
We're nothing without the people that pull our beer through. Now, whether it's a bottle shop, whether it's someone that just comes into the brewery and buys a carton every week, we're nothing without them.
So you reckon there's a lot of pulling going on with your beer?
Mostly.
Hell of a lot.
That's amazing.
Reference
that people are really
Screaming Eagle.
That's oh my god, that's amazing to see.
Don't. That's large.
It's amazing to see, right? Look, I'm sure it's good for someone. But
This is going to be the last podcast.
Roger's like, shut it down.
Shut it down.
so we talk about bottle. Have you ever done a run in bottles?
Yeah, we used to do bottles.
Yeah.
The old brewery. So the original
Yeah.
brewery, we had a bottling line. Yep.
December 2019 was probably the last bottling we did. The rest of it was all, after that it was into cans. We've done a couple of small bottle runs, but nothing drastic.
So the reality is you guys have turned
It
Tower of cans nearly fell over for those listening in at home.
There's a tower of Oh my god, lucky they were empty. So you guys have turned something as a bit of a, let's say, hobby into $1 million business, really?
We tell people all the time that this is a hobby that got out of control.
Yeah.
It's like, call the fire department, this one's out of control.
Yeah.
But it's something in what you guys are doing. Like, do you feel you have the same strengths? Or are you able to identify what you believe is your strongest strength?
I think other people tell us. That's probably the beauty of it. Like, we often walk into the brewery and we go, fuck, we're here again. We can do this. Like, we're going to go through this. We've got this problem. We've got that problem. And then someone comes up and goes, your beers are fucking amazing. And they're fully, not fanboying out, but they're telling you that they love what you're doing. You go, yeah, right, I can go and fix that problem now. Like, people lift you. They're not coming in and buying a piece of paper and a pen. Like, they're coming in because they choose to be there. They don't have to come in and see us.
But our strengths have always been the same. We just, like, the reason we started is because we love what we do, and we still love it. So for all the crap you go through, like you go through COVID and all that carry on, you still at the end of the day you still enjoy yourself, and you get more good times than bad. And we've had some amazing experiences. And our strength has always been we enjoy ourselves. We have a good time, as you can tell by this podcast. Like, we have a good time doing what we do, and I think people appreciate that and enjoy that refreshing honesty, because there are a lot of places who try to pretend to be something they're not. We've never ever done that.
There's quite a few breweries
and we're
around the
lazy.
country.
Like, it's too hard to do that sort of shit. We'd rather just be us and back that there's more people like us than against us. And because we're not that special. For the most part, we've been pretty much like right.
There's a lot of breweries around the country with 10, 15, 20, 30 investors. For the most part, it's Craig and I that have probably over 90% of our brewery.
And our long-suffering wives.
Do you guys, if you were banging your...
Banging what? Hey.
My wife, your wife, whose wife?
This is the after 10 o'clock PM edition. Welcome
banging yourself.
Welcome to Dr.
If
Phil.
you guys are
JP Drake Blue. Oh, baby.
If you guys were backing yourselves, if you guys were backing yourselves, do you think either one of you could have done this without each other?
No. Well, I don't.
No.
So at a structural level, Jace is very much he's a hands as he described, back in his child, he's a hands-on guy.
My hands are on now.
I know, I can feel it, by the way. Don't neglect the you know what I'm talking about.
Plums.
Agates. Now, he's very much a hands-on.
They're like quite Viking references,
Aren't they?
aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I'm onto it.
what Jace does really well is the nuts and bolts of things. So the building of a brewery, the hands-on stuff. Like that's something I will never ever be a handyman. I'm terrible.
You scream at hammers hoping they'll do something.
Yeah. I can distract. Like gravity, it's all good. It's constructing I struggle with. But at the same token, I will enjoy pulling beers, talking to punters, where Jason enjoys that less. So we have a natural...
I like drinking beers,
we have a natural...
pulling punters.
Yeah. We have a natural line of demarcation, and where I might think something's a good idea, he'll think it's a bad idea, and vice versa, and we'll bounce off each other until we come up with a happy medium.
And here's an interesting fact. So we've never let the sun set on a problem.
That is true.
If we don't disagree, if we agree on something, it's fine. If we disagree, there'll be phone calls at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. We live next door to each other for a period of 18 months. And it used to fester, and we'd literally walk out the front, and I said, meet in the, and we'd say driveway, and we'd meet in the driveway, and we'd thrash out the problem. It was never fights or anything. We'd both walk out with a beer, we'd talk about the problem, and then we'd both go back to our houses. And we were literally right next door.
No, that's impressive because
It's mental when you think about it. Like, it's nuts. Like, you'd think that would drive a business apart, not bring it together.
No, the actual dealing with it before the sun sets, maybe rises, maybe.
There's always been an understanding that we both want exactly the same thing, which is for Big Shed to be super successful. So then what we're talking about is a difference between how we get there.
Correct.
So if you understand that we both want the same thing, but I'm saying we turn left and Jason's saying we turn right, that's all right.
But the problem is it's never actually that. It's more so we're both saying the same thing, we're explaining it differently.
Yeah, and Jason's wrong more often than not.
It can happen.
We're going to sort this out before the sun goes down.
So
it's been a funny old time. I don't know why, but we've released 5 beers in the last month and a half.
Over 6%.
All of which are north of 9%. And this is one of those. It's, where are we? 9.5. So this is our Rye Imperial IPA. So you'll pick up...
Hands down, this is absolutely my favourite beer.
Oh my God. This tastes a bit sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what you'll find is boozier beers.
To me, it's not
have a bit of sweetness about them.
Okay. I'm not getting a bitter. Yeah.
Spice?
And this is the interesting thing. So you talk about bitterness, right? So you're not picking up bitterness.
No.
But this is 84 IBUs. So for those playing at home, international bitterness units. So it's quite a bitter beer.
Really? See, that's that.
100. After 100, you can't perceive it.
This is the thing, right? This is the difference between IBUs, which is an arbitrary score, and perceived bitterness.
Oh.
So because there's sweetness in the beer, you'll perceive it as less bitter than it actually is if you measure it. So when people talk about IBUs and things like that, being it's a bitter beer, it's 75 IBUs. Well, that's not the sole measure.
Okay.
It's about for us, it's about balance. So this beer is quite bitter, but the fact that you're saying it's not bitter is I think is a credit to our brew team because it's not supposed to be bitter at the expense of everything else. It's supposed to be balanced. So there is some bitterness there that you can perceive.
Booze has turned up, aromas turned up, malt's turned up.
Yeah, I don't get the bitter in that.
Yeah, good.
You're obviously old enough. You're bitter.
Not bitter and twisted though.
It's a good album.
But do you pick up any spice though? I do lead you with that
I'm
question.
trying to. No, you know what? I think because I just had one of those spice. Yeah, it messed. All jokes aside, I think it messed with the taste buds.
No, absolutely,
Yeah, absolutely
it will
will.
absolutely affect you. Like a chili will affect your palate no end.
And
To me, I've had a lager since then, and that's sort of cleansed me out. Says Craig now going for a chili Dorito. But the rye generates a spiciness. So I didn't want to say what spice is it because at the end of the day, rye generates like a peppery warmth.
yeah, okay, that's what it is.
But the problem is you've had Doritos, which is also generating a cayenne response to pepper.
What would you know about cayenne?
And
great Porsche.
Yes, true. And what else is about cayenne? Why is that?
Oh no, it's because he doesn't eat chili.
Oh, okay. Is that funny?
Chili was.
Better than COVID.
Probably. Yeah, that's okay. It's a simple.
We'll test him tonight when we have Ishan chicken.
But talking about, when you first started, were you at Brandwood Street? Is that
correct.
where you were?
Yep, little 50-head venue.
Yeah.
Little brewery turning over.
A contract brewing incubator.
We were in 2 spaces in Brandwood Street, technically, in the same complex.
That's true. Yeah, when we first started, so when Jace moved down to town from the Barossa, we were in a little 100 square metre space We weren't commercial brewing then. We were just doing our own thing.
COVID's not allowed to have that. No. I'm flagging it early.
For anyone listening at home, I was trying to offer him a Imperial Stout. A water.
No. So Brown Street, a little 1,000 litre brewery, knocking over 250,000 litres a year, and in a 50 head venue. So it was a tiny little start, but from there we're now in a 1.4 million litre brewery and 1,000 head venue.
So the 1.4 million litres, so you could pretty much say that's what's been drunk in predominantly South Australia, 80%?
Well, the brewery's capable of 1.4. We're probably on track for about 600,000 litres this year, and that's pretty good, including what COVID's done. Not that COVID.
COVID?
He's had like 5 cherry poppers and fallen over and got stitches.
1.
He's done nothing to help our volume.
Didn't rip his jeans though.
Oh, well, they're already pre-ripped.
Mm-hmm.
Classy. So we're on track for about 600,000 litres. Now, we wanted to be 600,000 litres in year 1 anyway. So we're probably on track even with what the pandemic's done for us. So this time next year, I want to be 800 to 900,000. The year after, maybe 1.4. So we'll stretch into 1.4, and then we need to replace some tanks to make more volume. So we can go to about 4.2, 4.4. So that's pretty significant.
I've got a cool story.
Please.
I went to watch the Super Bowl, taken with PepsiCo. Great trip. Probably an unbelievable trip.
Thanks for the Doritos.
Yeah, Doritos. Yeah, you're right. Bang on. And they took us to all these boutique breweries before we went. There was a it was the day before, so it was a pre-Super Bowl lineup. And then at the end of when they took us to, they said, "Oh yeah, they're all of our boutique breweries." So they'd bought out all of these brewers, and they were
Pepsi
cool.
Has. Well, there you go.
They've got hundreds of them. So
we're right here. Pepsi, come at us.
So, and one of the ones we went to was an Australian brewer. I can't remember it. I could find it out if they're probably not listening, but if they are, they just let me know who it was. And you could see that they'd set up, specifically their operation, but taken over for a big corporate. And I think for me, that's the fine line of when people sit there and go, you have your craft, it is this product, and then someone comes in and buys you, and I quote unquote, the biggest growth they saw in liquor was boutique breweries.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because they're decreasing, we're increasing.
Yeah. So this was it's probably 3 years ago. Last Brady NFL. Right. It was an amazing Super Bowl. I think it was Katy Perry. I think there's a game as well.
Who won the football?
Tom Brady and Katy Perry. That's all we knew.
But Tom Brady, he ripped it apart.
Kate Upton.
So they were there. They had Long Island teas on the stadiums on tap. Moral of the story: Brady had a shit first half, amazing. Like in the second half, destroyed every shot. Was just pinpoint.
Yeah, that was against Seattle Seahawks, I reckon.
Yes, it was Seattle Seahawks,
and they still should have had a chance to. They should have won it. They should have bloody gone beast mode. One like yarn out. They did an interception at the end, lost the game.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. And
see, I wasn't buckled at the
Is
PepsiCo
the Falcons?
stand.
Were they the Falcons?
Seattle
No,
Seahawks.
Long Island
So
teas.
we were staying in the hotel with the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, did you sledge them?
No, of course we didn't. But
they're bigger than you.
Mate,
Eagles.
There was no, they weren't Eagles, they were Hawks. And we were sitting in
Smaller.
and you're going to love this. So we rock up. I'm wearing, I wasn't dressed up, but we rocked up back late one night, really late, had a few drinks. Walked in, and where we were, they had it blocked off for the players and families because all of them were staying where we were staying.
Yeah.
So we rock up, and they're all sitting around on couches and that, and they see us. We're all wearing shirts, and like we'd been at the.
You were wearing shirts.
I'm going to quote this.
High end.
Yeah, we were at the Rolling Stones pre-Super Bowl party. This guy. And Rowan, he's one of the guys that works with us. We ended up talking our way, and their house vodka, Belvedere, thank you very much. So we ended up talking our way into the front. So you had the VIP, and we just talked our way into our Australian. I got photos me wearing all the Super Bowl rings of all the past and present players.
There you go.
So we're sitting there, and one of the guys I don't know if I should tell the story, but one of those guys sitting there, I go, mate, what the fuck do you do, man? And he was sitting there, he goes, I get players, I get girls over so he can talk to this guy. And he's full dreaded dude. I don't know who he is. I still don't know who he is. I said, mate, I could do a better job than that than you. And he looked at me and goes, what are you talking about? I said, watch this. So bang.
What's this? Hold my beer.
Girls were there. And I said, look, this guy here, you know, he's fucking, you know who he is. And they told me his name. I can't remember it. So, and blah, blah, blah. They come over and he's like, man. And then the dude, the player, gave me his ring. I got a photo of it. Then he gives me his ring and I'm sitting there showing everyone this Super Bowl ring from this guy because all these girls were coming over talking to him because I pretended I knew what the fuck he did.
Nice.
But there's a story here. PepsiCo took us to this and it was about brewing, right? Microbrewing. And it blew me away how much value they put on microbreweries.
Yeah.
And it really sent home a message of like, this is how they see, because people want something that not everyone has, want something that's in limited supply, but don't want to be mass produced where people think, oh, you've sold out.
Yeah. I think
And you guys must get that all the time.
No, there's an importance to the story. Like people just don't want homogenized product. There's a story to the beer. You know, there's a story to Craig and Jace, two loose idiots who should know better, having a crack at it, and people respond to that. And I think like we owe as a beer industry, especially as an independent beer industry, a lot to the wine industry because I think they spend a lot of time and a lot of money marketing the concept of terroir and that whole the story behind products. And I think people, and between that and reality TV like your MasterChefs and stuff like that, I do think that people bought into that and it made it easier for us to tell our story because they were already used to hearing stories and wanting to know stories. And the COVID times showed us the value of our local client base. They mean the world to us. Like they were there when no one could come, and we just had a hole in the wall that we pushed pizza and burgers and beer through. They came and in really good numbers. You know, I mean, Jason and I we spent 6 days a week, 6 nights a week delivering pizzas and beers and whatever.
What do you think happens to pizza delivery guys? Doesn't happen.
Yeah, Pornhub's got a lot to answer for. But anyway.
I must be watching the wrong Pornhub.
Yeah, look.
Do you want to order a pizza?
So the brew chocks was what really got my attention. How did that come about?
So it came about, Jace went up to Brisbane to make a beer that reflected to us an iconic South Australian flavour, and we couldn't think of a better flavour than the Robin Men's fruit choc. So it just happens that those fruit flavours and the chocolate flavours do play well in beer. So we made it. The guys loved it. And
so when we were up at Newstead, they thought, how do we go about putting peach and apricot in this? So let's just get a shit ton of peach and apricot puree to be fine. And that was literally the brief for the beer. And we actually got the kegs back and went, fuck me, that tastes pretty damn close.
It was pretty good.
And
that's amazing.
We were literally just buying, like you're talking about, you look at the sorbet shop and they've got those massive big white tubs. White peach, yellow normal apricots, white peach.
Yep.
And we literally bought 5, 6, 7 cubes of this thing and just tipped it into the beer and hoped for the best.
Did you take the stone out?
It was puree.
It was puree.
Puree, yeah, okay, yeah. And it worked?
We didn't get stoned at all.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was
oh, that's a long time ago.
It was bloody good. And we brought a couple of beer.
Not that I can recall.
Jace brought a couple of kegs back with him and people loved it. And then we got a phone call, once we advertised, we got a phone call from Robin Men's.
No, Polly called me. It's Polly from the marketing department of Robin Men's, and I'm like, fuck.
We're in big trouble.
We're getting sued. Oh, we'll make the front page. And she went, oh, look, we wanted to catch up. You know, you guys have made the beer from, fruit choc flavour. And I went, yeah, sorry, are we in trouble? She goes, no, we think it's quite cool and we want to catch up and say good day. So we organised to catch up at a pub that was serving the beer. So it was the King's Head, coincidentally. Popped into there. So Phil, his brother, I can't think of his brother's name now. Mr. Sims, yes. So Phil and his brother turned up. Polly was there. We get behind the bar. We're pouring beers. We're just, jovially mucking around, pulling pints of this stuff. And he goes, Phil goes, that's actually all right. I went, we didn't want to do this and pretend, mate. So yeah, it is okay. Anyway, so we're mucking around and nothing more came of it. And I sort of joked to Polly, we should do this, on a yearly basis. And she's like, yeah, no. She's just like, no, backing away from it. Anyway, so she rings me up a year later. About 8 months later, going, BWS has approached us and they want to arrange the beer if you make it again, and we'll do it in cahoots with you. And I said, well, how do we go about it? She goes, well, we'll just do a licensing deal and we do it collaboratively, and away we go. Anyway,
collaboratively?
So, you spell that.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting with our sales brain to say, Phil, Sims, Polly, and we went, we should do this again. We should do it collaboratively.
Properly.
Properly. Yeah, properly.
Yeah.
With a license agreement. And
Correct. So we did a license agreement where we basically buy the contents of the fruit choc,
Oh shit! So they gave
and
you
we are
something.
bound to
The fruit,
secrecy.
the actual fruit.
So
What was in it?
Fruit.
Okay, what's through?
50% fruit.
It's a box.
Okay.
With
Comes in a
fruit.
box called fruit.
And is it a
fruit.
50? Next. Yep. And then what happened?
Fruit.
So basically, we've gone through probably 4 stick mixes trying to blend that stuff into a beer. So we this year alone we dropped 2 stick mixes into the
when you
blended
say
fruit.
we,
I didn't.
who
Employees
did? Let's name
did.
names.
Brewers.
Name names.
Brewers.
I hope
Anyway,
this doesn't come up in a court case.
it shouldn't. No. So at $1,400 a stick mixer, this year's batch has cost us an extra $2,500.
Yeah, and that's because you're trying to make it legit. Yeah, that's what happens.
So anyway, so this year with this year's batch is going to be pretty good. So it's going to go into cans. We've got the label all done.
This year's, hang on. I'm talking about the first one, Brew Talk. So it sold out in 13 minutes.
You did. That's what I was talking about. When we said that, Tom.
So in the US, they have a thing called Pliny
Pliny the Elder.
the Elder, where people queue up around the block because they know it's being released. And we went, that'd be cool if it ever happens here, but that'll never happen here. That's
would
a
it?
joke. And we had
And then it
10 or
happened.
13 people queued up.
And
It was a
wasn't-
non-stop
and
stream for like 13 minutes and we sold out.
The thing was, it wasn't just people queued up at our joint. People were lined up at bottle shops,
Bottle shops released it the day before
and
they
they
were
didn't.
supposed to.
And they didn't expect it either. So they're like, "What are you out here for?" Oh, because you guys, it's Brew Choc Day, and you guys have got it. Oh, okay.
So we had-
because like it does. Australians aren't.
They don't queue
We're
up.
not Americans. We don't get super hyper enthusiastic about that sort of stuff.
Well, I think Apple, people line up for their product.
Yeah, that's
Big
true.
Shed, people line up for your fucking product. They're out there. They are waiting.
Don't touch the table.
Don't hit the table.
And I am fired up the fact that people are waiting for that product.
Yeah, no, it was great. Oh man, it was amazing and humbling all at the same time. So we'll release more of it this year. I'm looking forward to it.
And we filmed all the people standing at the bar. We filmed the lines. We filmed people standing. I'm like, this is crazy. People are queued up. And I think that probably drove a level of excitement when we're saying, there's people lined up to get this beer. Oh, fuck, I better get down there. So they jump in their car. We made it worse by putting petrol on the fire. It was really funny.
But that's how it works. And to be honest, then somehow out of all of that, I think my team sent, Shake and Drake would like that. And then next minute, I had a 6-pack of Brew Chocs rock up.
You mentioned it to Polly. Polly mentioned it to me, and I got my wife to drop it off to you because she works on the same street.
And then I did her the favour with toilet paper.
My wife?
Yeah.
Polly.
No, your wife. Your wife. Yeah, I got you guys toilet paper. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So that last lot of toilet paper you had.
Wiping your ass with a rag on a stick.
Prior to that, I was just dragging on the grass.
Dirty dog.
Moral of the story is iconic South Australian. So there's other iconic businesses in South Australia.
Iconic.
Yeah, you get the message.
You spell it.
So ICANIC, CIN mechanic.
F-U.
It's a person that works on big stuff with an eye.
They have an eye for detail.
Yeah, they have a big eye for detail. But what has been the most exciting collaboration you've done?
I got 2 ways to go on this. It'd be the
Whoop. 2. Wife says you go 3 ways.
I do none of them good. Each one's getting 20% of me. And even then,
Go on, go 3 ways. Lay it on me.
No, I
I'm
look at the
intrigued
one
to
we
hear
did
what
with
you're saying.
Hop Nation and Exit, the Black Rhino Cherry Lips.
Out.
So that was a cherry stout that we soured, and it was belting.
It was delicious. Like forest cake.
And the fruit chocolate. Look,
A
honestly,
cherry stout.
a cherry stout that's soured and smoked.
Okay.
So it's like a smoked black forest
Yeah,
cake.
yeah.
And it was really good. Really, really interesting. Anyway, so that was really cool because it sort of morphed into being that. I think because I threw a hand grenade and going, we should add smoke malt. We should do this. And I'm like, that's fucking mental. And then we're like, hang on a second, that'll work. So we'd already sort of half concocted the recipe and then I threw smoked malt in just to do
So what's a smoked malt? So you
it's
get the
barley
malt.
that's been so it's been kilned in the normal way and then it's been smoked. So it's actually had a bit of like hickory or cherry smoke, whatever. So it actually picks up a bit of that peated characteristic. So when you drink it, you're like, oh, there's a touch of smoke coming through. So there'd be that. And I think the fruit chocolate ones are pretty cool.
Fridge one's amazing.
It's amazing. It's just because Roburn Men's has got behind it. They treat it like it's their own product as much as it's our product, but we do it collaboratively with them. They treat it like it's their own, and it becomes a blending of two brands on the one day.
Yeah. For mine,
Yep.
I agree with all that stuff. That was amazing. We make a beer. Well, we were making a beer with a guy called Doc from Doctor's Orders out of Sydney. Now, he's known for making some of the stupidest beers you'll ever likely to see. So
I don't know how you guys would have come across him.
So, well, we met him up in Sweeney's, and the problem with Doc, and there aren't many problems with Doc, but one of the problems with Doc, he remembers drunk conversations.
Everything.
So you'll have a few beers in you, and we should do this, and then 3 months later he'll recite what you said. All right, cool.
Does he record it?
No, he doesn't.
No.
He's just one of those.
He's a cybersecurity expert for the New South Wales government, so
he's just one of those guys.
Switched on.
So, one day we were having a few beers, and it's not dissimilar to here, pretty much, and without COVID on the recorder.
I didn't have headphones on.
No,
He could have been recording.
maybe he was. Maybe this was the whole. Maybe this is his whole
Yeah,
thing.
that was a whole thing. I think he could have been easily recording. Well,
You weren't working for Doc, were you?
no.
Piece of shit.
How's Victoria going now?
Why would you want to go there?
Get on the beers.
Get on the beers.
Now, this is
Get on the beers.
Doc's
It's a
from-
mess shop.
I've got that
It's a
shirt.
mess shop. Go for
Doc's
it.
I have that
from,
shirt.
Doc's from New South Wales. Anyway, but however, and he was like, we should make a stout that contains a root vegetable, and we did it over a series of four, and every time it was fun because the best part of collaborations is you invite your mate. It's not dissimilar to this. You invite your mates around, and you make some beer. So we invite Doc over, and we make beer together, and then we go out and we drink beer together. That's the magic of it. It's the beer itself is it's a byproduct of hanging out with mates and having a good time. So they were always special days for me. The fruit choc one, has still been the most ridiculous in terms of the.
It was just phenomenal.
In terms of its local response has been amazing. But I'd say it wasn't really collaboration because it was our own product. But going to Hook Norton Brewery.
I thought you were going to go.
So we went to the UK.
We got flown to the UK.
We got flown to the UK. We made
a Super Bowl.
We made a beer in a 5-story Victorian era, 170-year-old brewery, and for a couple of loose idiots who make beer in Adelaide to be able to go there and experience the history of the UK beer scene, and it is, we're making a beer in a 170-year-old brewery. It's 5 stories tall. It's uphill down Dale in a country town where we walk back down the hill. We stay in a country pub. We drink with the locals. We make the locals.
Drink the locals under the table.
We drink locals under the table. We go to the next pub. We drink them out of the table as well. But it was why we got into beer. Like the beer itself, like I said, it's almost a side. The real magic is in the people that you meet and the fun that you have doing it.
That's the place.
6 a.m. in the morning, we wandered up the hill. We don't need to put that COVID.
Here.
Take that. You can't zoom in, so here you have to have that. So, so we wander up the hill. We got as drunk as skunks the night before at the local pub, and we had to wander up the hill to the brewery. And they said, "Just come up the lane. Just come up the lane, and you'll see the brewery." We literally walk around the corner. I'm like, "This would be where Harry Potter would brew. Like this is cool. Like it's like
it was the best.
This is the best,
and it is literally like that's what good beer does. Like good beer sits in the background while you have an amazing experience, and that's why we love it. Because it's not about the beer in and of itself. It's about the beer adding to the story of whatever it is that went on. So that's why the Hook Norton experience will always be like, until we do something way cooler, I don't know if we ever will, but it was...
Anybody who wants us to brew with them, fly us business class and we'll be there.
That was bloody cool. They had a bar up in the fucking plane.
We flew back from London to Doha on an A380 in business class, and it's got the bar in the centre. We were there for 5 hours.
So that's pretty much like what's happening now.
Yeah.
Well, we're only 2 hours
We were in
in.
the bar for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And we're like, they said, if you'd like to go back to your seat, we'll get you some food. Can you not just deliver it here, please?
Yeah.
Don't
You tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me.
Yeah. I mean,
Was it
business.
Qatar?
Hey?
Qatar?
Qatar, yeah.
Fuck.
Mate, so that was the funniest thing. So
They are the best airline
So we
in
get
the
on this
world.
airline, so we have
They've
Free
the-
tickets, please send to PO Box 6062
Qatar, I'm happy.
Westlake
Look, I can't be bought, but hey, I'd
Yes,
have
you
a
can. You've been
chat.
to the Super Bowl.
I'd
I
have a
think you can be
chat.
bought.
I'd have a
Read
chat
Doritos,
to
just don't-
Qatar Airlines.
Yeah.
Mate, their planes are amazing.
Absolutely.
Oh, we had an absolute... Well, it was funny as... So we got two boys from working
Pretty
class.
sure we were dressed like this.
Boys?
We got on, hey, business class.
So we're
hey.
two boys from working class, like upbringing. We
What,
get on
they
the
supplied
plane
two
and
boys?
we turn.
What?
I said two boys from a working class
Oh,
upbringing.
okay.
We turn left instead of right as our normal on the plane. We're giggling like schoolgirls the whole time.
It's
Like,
cool. I
so
mean,
would you-
Can I
would you
please
like-
have a cognac and some warm nuts pre-flight?
Yeah, and it was hilarious. Oh mate, it was the best. Would you like some pajamas? Fuck yeah!
I don't wear
Yeah, I want
pajamas
some-
at home.
Yeah, I want some fucking
I
pajamas.
suppose it's not acceptable for me to lay in my pajamas here.
Yeah, I want
Can I
some
have a big
pajamas.
towel?
Yeah, I want some pajamas. What
mate,
else
I'm
you-
walking around.
What
in
else you
my,
got?
I'm walking around in my pajamas now from Qantas, just
Yeah.
getting that feeling of what it used to be
mate,
like.
Yeah, bloody oath.
I gave all the toiletry bags to my wife, my mum. They love it. It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
didn't have to buy presents for like a year.
Yeah.
The best.
Okay, I've got some questions.
Go.
Where were we in the night of the 13th?
So they started. This is you guys.
they,
so this is
they mean you.
this is a question to you guys. Okay, we've got some questions from Instagram.
Insta questions.
Yeah, and I got no fans on Instagram, so make sure you share this with your friends because Instagram's hard work. But this is a question. Oh, this is from Westside Mushies.
West Side Mushies.
Yeah, this guy.
we need to do
I'm
something with them.
so keen to try his mushies as well. But hey,
And a Umami beer. That sounds good.
yeah. Or a Rishi one, which will knock you out. It'll be just the same as chlorophyll. So Westside Mushies asks, you started out when craft beer was really starting to blow up. How did you differentiate or stand out? And do these methods still serve you well today?
I would say, and we've touched on it a few times. I mean, I think we understand where we sit in the world, and we've always tried to be the most honest brewery there is. And do we stand out? I think we do, and I think it'll continue to be so because we don't try to be something we're not. A lot of people now, where they see commercial success, they go, "Oh, if we mirror this guy, then we'll be successful too." Where we have never tried to mirror anyone. We just do what we do.
Did you watch Play School?
Did I watch Play School?
Yeah.
Today? No.
No, like mirror, mirror on the wall.
I always come through the
Who
round
is
hole.
the
That's Romper
goodest
Room,
of you? Oh, got the wrong show.
If you're going to quote kids shows,
Go on.
get it fucking right, man.
Well, let's just say I'm not exact.
So anyway, as I was saying before, so rudely interrupted. No, we just try to be who we are. What we don't do is look at how we can be different. We just be us. And maybe that is different. I don't know. So our point of difference, I think, is that we don't try to be something we're not. And I think that will hold us in good stead ongoing because it's easy. For us, it's easy to be honest.
It's easy to be us because we're not acting.
Yeah, that's right. For better or worse.
You'd make great actors, by the way.
Well, thank
I'd
you.
be a great fluffer.
No, I don't know much, but I know what that is.
I don't know much.
Do I need to look that up?
I'd fluff you.
But
Cut that.
Oh, damn.
Right. Right. Everybody.
Okay, so
Professional.
Tom Brace 10 asked, when,
Brace.
do you know this guy?
We
we
do know
know.
Tom Brace, yes.
Oh, that's cool. I love this.
Hello, Tommy.
When is too many IBUs too many? What's an IBU? I don't know what that is.
International bitterness units. So it's a measurement of bitterness. After 100, the human mouth cannot detect any perceivable difference.
But I would also say that again, we've discussed it earlier, but it comes down to perceived bitterness.
Correct.
So if it's completely without sweetness, then the IBUs can get too high at like 20. But if you've got a perceived sweetness backing it up,
Okay,
so
that-
there's not a number per se. It does come down to personal preference and balance because some people will perceive bitterness more readily than others. Some people will perceive it and enjoy it. Some people will perceive it and not like it.
So I've had a beer that was 1,000 IBU.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
Was it bitter?
Couldn't tell. I can only pick up 100.
Is this a...
No. It literally
is that,
was-
no.
It was
No,
a 1,000
it was-
IBU beer.
it was unpleasant.
It was a McKellar 1,000 IBU beer. It got served to me in a 20 ml medicine glass. That was the serving size. It's insane because it basically grabs the corner of your jaw and just sort of twists you up. When it's too much, it's your palate, it's your tongue. You tell us.
That's right.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Tom.
That's the short
You piece of
answer to
shit.
that. You're the worst of the three braces.
No, that's not true. Josh Brace is way
No,
worse.
Josh is shit.
Nah, we love Josh.
I hope that's the same Josh that we're thinking about, because otherwise that guy's just been ripped off.
So like one of my girls, my youngest girl, and she's under 5. She's had sniffles at school, sent her home, have to go have a COVID test.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And the doctor's going to give the COVID test, and she goes, "It's my body. You're allowed to hear or hear, not both. My parents have told me to say it's my body."
Aw.
And the lady giving the test was like, well, I need to go here because they put the thing up your
Right to the back there.
yeah,
And they
she's-
do your throat as well.
yeah, correct.
So once for COVID, once for rhinovirus.
And she said, it's my body. Natalie with 2, Natalie asked, when will Craig get his homeless beard trimmed?
That's his wife.
Natalie with a 2. Never.
Well,
I
there's
can
your-
out childish anyone.
He's going to slip tonight.
Okay, there you go, Natalie.
Wow,
So,
I didn't realize this would become a quasi counselling session.
Any family questions?
Any other questions?
yeah, this is a family question.
Wow.
At the smoking joint asked,
No,
Right,
Neil.
What?
Hollywood.
what's the F in stand for?
Fuck. Hang on. Sorry, I'm going to say it properly.
Fuck. And I'm assuming it's like Team America.
Fuck yeah. Correct. That a boy. At last, someone who gets it.
If I start doing this, it means I'm panicking.
Jason Harris, which that's Jace, asked, how do they balance being rugged, handsome, and self-employed? It must take some work to juggle.
Look, I don't want to answer that question. I think Craig should answer.
Look, what I would say, it is a cross that we bear with as much grace as we can manage, and I think we handle it lightly.
Okay.
You got them all, didn't you?
At Jason Harris asked,
Fudge packer.
if you had to choose between dating a supermodel or eating barbecue, what cut of meat would you buy?
Brisket.
Craig?
Beef rib.
Oh, it's easy for me. It's an eye fillet. Grass-fed, eye fillet.
La-di-da.
Oh, hang on. Has anyone chosen a supermodel?
No, it's a lot of paperwork in supermodels, I'd imagine. Not that I've ever, never been a problem for me, but
I understand barbecuing brisket better than I understand supermodels. Anyone that understands brisket knows that that's really fucking hard.
I'm pretty sure getting a supermodel for you, Jace, might be hard.
I own a brewery, you own a supermarket.
you'll pick up more blokes than he will.
There's male supermodels.
That is true. Totally.
No one
fucking,
said it had to be female.
no, that's a fair call.
No,
you could totally
hey,
pick up.
Hey, it wasn't gender specific.
No, absolutely. Specific.
Specific.
Specific?
See, you fell to the old
Wasn't gender specific.
rule.
Gender Pacific.
Okay, so for everyone listening, as if there's fucking
Who the fuck's still listening? What the fuck is wrong with you? Adelaide, go to bed. Sorry.
if there is if there is someone listening now, my
Sorry, Roger.
hey, we've got to have these episodes. Let me get this. What do you wish you had known when you first started out? And what would be your advice to some 15, 16, 18-year-old brewers out there? What would be some advice you could give them that you've learnt?
If you want to be a brewer because you love making beer, become a brewer. You don't have to start a business to be that guy. But
Could it be a girl?
guy or girl?
Correct.
Absolutely. But if you want to start a business, then have a crack at that too. Because
Focus on the business, not the brewery.
what I would say is, I'm a fan of a saying or two, but one of my favorite ones: if you can't touch the bottom, the depth of the water doesn't matter.
Keep swimming.
So have a go, because the worst that can happen is actually nowhere near as bad as what you think the worst that can happen. So take it, have a dip, Because when you're 70, the pain of regret of not doing something is way worse than the pain of doing something and failing. 100%. That's what I would say.
Such wise words there from Craig. And Jason, do you have anything that could be wiser than that?
In your first year of business, if you want to make $1 million, spend 5.
Yep, that's good.
Because at the end of the day, like we started very, very small with the brewery. Didn't have a lot of money. In fact, we started our brand with $100,000. That's not necessarily a well-known thing. We probably spent 8 times that before we made $1 million. Sorry, before we turned over $1 million.
Yeah, no,
There's a difference between turned over and made.
I get it.
So for us, it's such a capital-intensive business. Stainless steel costs money. Hygienic fittings cost money. Everything we do is just zeros. And everyone goes, I love your job. You want sleepless nights and lots of debt? Cool. But but I echo what Craig said. If you want to be a brewer, be a brewer. Don't burden yourself with business ownership because it's not the same thing. It's the first thing you give up.
Yeah, it's some fascinating information because most people think you have to be involved with it and doing it, but you're like saying, hey, find the people that can do what you want to do, but you need someone to run the business.
Set them free to do the jobs you want to do.
It was funny, like when we first started, as Jay said, like when we first started the brewery, why did we start looking at starting a brewery? Because we love making beer. The first thing we gave up was making beer.
But yet we still make beer whilst running the business.
But what I would say is that what I've found in my own experience, I can't speak for Jace, but my own experience was that it wasn't so much the making. No, wait. It wasn't so much the making of the beer. It was the sharing of the beer that I really loved. Like we had a situation at the old brewery, Brownwood Street. In insurance terms, it was a rain event. Basically, the front of house caved in. The roof flooded, water pissed through everywhere.
Box gutters failed.
Yeah, it didn't affect the production of the brewery, but it affected front of house. So we couldn't open for 3 weeks while we tidied this mess up. And the end of those 3 weeks, I was quite down. I wouldn't say I was depressed because that's way too strong a term for what I was feeling, but I was like everything was shitting me off. My energy was low. I was angry at the world.
Me.
Jace, although that's a stand, like even more so than normal. But then we had an event. So that was on the Friday. We had an event on the Saturday where it was an external event. We were pouring beers at Fork on the Road.
Yes.
And I noticed I was up and I was about and I was loving it. And I'm like, this is actually what I love to do. Like the making of the beer is one thing, but it's the sharing of the beer that I loved. So I would say like, yeah, what you think you love and what you actually love can sometimes change. So, for me, it was all about the pulling of the beer, the sharing of the beer. So don't necessarily shut yourself down. If you want to be a brewer because you love to brew beer, then be a brewer. But if you want to be a business owner and you love that aspect of it, which is different, quite different, then that's when you can pursue your goals. And you still might like making beer, but employ people who can do it better than you because they'll be there. Like despite your best efforts, they'll be there. So find them and do what you actually love.
It's like the Drake's business. You didn't get in the business to sell biscuits. You got in the business to sell people what they want.
Yeah.
Now that is the sum of 3,000 SKUs. So 3,000 products.
25,000.
Way to underestimate by a fucking shit ton.
25,000. That's okay. 25.
Give or take.
3,000.
3,000 is just related to COVID items like toilet paper and fucking shit that everybody needs.
3,000 probably relates to Coles and Woolworths range. 1,000.
We never go there.
Guys, there's one more hard-hitting question we got to ask. And this goes, and I don't know if it's a joint answer or if it's separate, but if you guys died and came back as a board game, what board game would that be?
Probably sorry, because I do a lot of stupid shit.
I was going to say similar, headache.
So sorry.
Fuck, I do a lot of stupid shit. I need to apologise a lot.
I'll be honest with you guys. That is the quickest we have ever had a
one
response.
question answered in this room.
Yeah, that's the quickest we've had a response. As you can see, there's a couple of people up there that've had different responses. But don't let that judge what you're going to write. But do you want to know what board game?
Fuck, it sounded like you were in my head then. I wasn't looking at you.
Do you want to know what board game I would be?
What?
Scrabble.
Because
you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it'll be really fucking good and sometimes it will be...
Sometimes you're a Q without a U.
I would have thought you really fucked up some eggs.
Is that a game?
Scrabble.
Oh, yeah, that's
the
it.
best take.
Yeah, it's the best take ever. So there you have it, everyone. And if you've got it to this, seriously, if you have made it this far in the podcast.
Call the mental health fucking hotline. Beyond Blue is there to help you.
And COVID, can you put in there, are you okay, just to make sure that you're okay? Because you've actually made it this far in probably... I never thought anyone past Mickey Goonan could make it this far for hilarity.
He did fucking 3 months on a TV show. He's done all right.
Yeah, and he's done very well dealing with us. But the moral of the story is you guys here are producing fantastic beer, so much love behind the brand, so much innovation as well. You've created a team of people that make you guys look good. And it just makes sure that your Big Shed Brewing Concern, and you want to check that out. You might want to see the Simpsons episode, but just have a look at that because it really it really rings a lot of bells in our heart, and we really thank you very much for coming on the show. And hopefully you get to get down and make sure you try their beer.
Thank you very much.
See you later.